You're listening to Talk LFC Podcast, an independent podcast for Reds by Reds. Be sure to hit that follow button.
Good evening and welcome to Talk LFC, an independent live podcast for Reds by Reds where we discuss all things related to Liverpool Football Club. Today is Monday, October 10, 2016. My name is John Rainey, and on this podcast I'm joined by Sean O'Cleary from Fenway Will Come Not to Pay and Gary Gaze from Shun the S. On this episode, again, we'll be speaking to Gary about the campaign Shun the S, and we'll also be discussing Jurgen Klopp's first year in charge at Liverpool Football Club, among other things. If you want to get involved with the show, you can do so by following us on Spreaker.com. It's free and easy to sign up, and you can sign up with your Facebook or Twitter profile. You can follow us on our social media at facebook.com/TalkLFC podcast, at twitter.com/TalkLFC podcast. You can get involved with the show via the live chat and send us your questions, and we'll be happy to discuss them over the show. But first, our first topic this evening is the Shun the Sun campaign. And on April 19th, 1989, the Sun newspaper printed lies about Liverpool fans at Hillsborough under the headline banner, The Truth. 27 years later, and those lies have finally been found out. The Sun and its then editor, Kelvin Mackenzie, stood by what they were said, causing years of hurt for the families of those who died and tarnishing the survivors with a reputation that can never be undone. Since then, residents of Liverpool and also the people from outside of the city have been campaigning for the newspaper to stop being sold in Liverpool and the surrounding area. Unfortunately, though, some shops refuse, and the likes of W.H. Smith inside of Alder Hey Hospital is one such place. They've repeatedly refused to support the campaign with the response, people buy it so we sell it. Shun the Sun are a dedicated group of people who all share the same passion to honour the memory of the 96 and all the people affected by the lies that the Sun newspaper printed about Liverpool people. So as I said, joining us this evening is Gary Gaze from the Shun the Sun campaign. Welcome to the show, Gary.
Thank you guys.
Do you want to give us a little bit of information about yourself? Just basically, how long you've been a Liverpool supporter and just a little bit of background.
Yeah, basically, since I was born, I've been a Liverpool supporter. I've actually worked for the club in 1990 and then in 2014 on the director's box. So, as I say, Liverpool's close to my heart as a fan and as a campaigner.
Brilliant. So you know the club really from the inside out. You've spent time kind of working on the inside too. So you basically live and breathe Liverpool Football Club. Yeah,
I know the passion. I know what everyone feels.
Yeah. And of course, you have plenty of contacts inside the club too. We were speaking yesterday. You were showing me photographs you had taken with Jurgen Klopp and Rafa Benitez, and you're saying you're good friends with Lucas as well.
I do little bits of work for Lucas. As I say, I've got a job out of work. I work in the airport, but I also do part time doing bits. So I do bits of work for Lucas in his property as well.
Yeah, he seems like a really nice guy.
He's brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant, and I like his family as well. He's got a great family. He's a great guy. He's going to be a Liverpool icon, I think, from when he leaves Liverpool. He's just a great guy, and that's that.
Definitely, he's definitely bought into the city as well. You can see
definitely 1,000,000%. 1,000,000%.
Just in relation to the campaign itself. Now, this is the Shun the Sun campaign. Is this a new campaign?
Basically, I was with another group, our guys, the team that we've got. And as I say, it's a small community by Liverpool Airport called Speak. I don't know if you're all aware of it. Most of the Ryanairs from Dublin and Belfast EasyJets come into Speak. I know it's Liverpool, but it is Speak. And there's 5 or 6 of us that have sort of made our own group up, which was called Shun the Sun. This was a few months back. And we went at the Sun newspaper full throttle. We're all passionate about it. And as I say, we made the group, and now we've got just touching 50,000 people on our group. So, as I say, the passion is unbelievable for the campaign. We just decided that we had our own ideas to how we wanted to go about tackling the news agents and etc. and the cafes and wherever. So we thought we wanted our ideas. We wanted to do our own stuff, basically how we planned about going and approaching the shopkeepers in the nicest possible way, putting videos on and doing our protest in the friendliest possible way. So that's how, as I say, we started after April when we got justification. Something exploded in me. I in the morning when we got the verdict at Warrington, I was outside my house with I took the quilt cover off my mum's bed and I painted just as that last, and I went to St George's Hall with it, and something just exploded in me, John, that I just needed to do something, and as I say, this is why Shun the Sun was created.
That's fantastic. You've phenomenal support. Your Facebook page, it's going really well. And how do you intend on basically engaging with the general population of Liverpool to get support? Like what strategies have you used so far, and how do you find them working?
Well, basically, Facebook is absolutely infectious. The campaign's infectious, and you wouldn't believe. I go to, the team, as I say, there's groups of us. There's me, there's Pete Forsyth, there's Lee Mailer, there's Andy Rose, Grasshands we call him. There's Craig, there's Gareth. We basically just have turns of pieces of if we're not in work, we'll do blitzes. We'll cover like Huyton, Garston, and we get out and about. So whenever we go anywhere, people know us. I was in the back of Seaforth, which is 12 miles from Speke, and people were like, "Oh, you're Shun the Sun. I follow your page. It's unbelievable." And then friends of friends. It's like people recognise it, like being a celebrity, even though that's what we're not about. We're like sort of people sort of like know us. You know, it's an honour. It's an honour that people sort of know us in such a good way, because, as I say, we don't need to sort of advertise it. The advertising's infectious enough. You know, the passion's unbelievable for us to get it out of Liverpool.
And one thing that I noticed that when we made contact with the group, Andy, who does a lot of the research stuff in the background, Andy Burgess, he would have been one of the first people to contact you. And immediately when we contacted the group, everybody just, I'm sure your phone was going mad with the amount of posts you were being tagged in, because everybody was saying Gary Gaze, Gary Gaze, Gary Gaze. And, you know, and I think you were in work at the time, and somebody else was speaking on your behalf. So, you know,
I'm actually in work now. I've just come off a plane now, believe it or not, to get speeches. but it's as I say, the team that we've got is unbelievable. The passion we had 13 admins at one point. We've got 6 or 7 now, and you wouldn't believe the teamwork and the effort and the passion that we've got for this drive. As I say, we've all got families, and we have turns of piece of going out and let's get this done, let's get that done. And we get inboxes. You wouldn't believe how many inboxes I get, and I don't know how many other lads get, but I get inboxes every day. Some positive, very rarely get negative. I'm not saying there isn't any negative. Very rarely get negative. Everything's, "Oh, Gary, these are selling in this cafe. You need to go to this shop. Can you bring us some posters to this shop?" It's so infectious, and the support that we get is unbelievable.
That's fantastic.
And what sort of negative comments would you get, Gary, if you don't mind me asking?
You get negative comments by people that obviously there's football rivalry involved in everything. I don't care what anyone says. There's football rivalry, and we'll sniff them out when they come on the Facebook. We can't basically vet every single person that we accept on our page. It's impossible. It's impossible to vet everyone. Yeah. But you do get the odd person, you sort of sniff them out. You'll say something like, "Well, why don't you boycott Sky?" Now, Sky was made in 1990. Hillsborough was 1989. Sky's a different kettle of fish. In fact, we can't do everything. We can only do what we can do. So when we get a negative comment, we sort of question it, and then we look at them, and then next thing you know, you'll get something negative off them. So we don't just delete them. We give them the option, and then we just delete them, because then 9 times out of 10 they'll get nasty on inboxes then, and then we'll know we've done the right thing. But 9 times that's the only negative. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying all the shops are positive, because you do get the odd negativity out of the shop, which we do take on the chin. Do you know what I mean? As you mentioned before about W.H. Smith and Alder Hey, I emailed them back again and said, "I won't stop here, as far as I'm concerned, as to stop selling the Sun," which, as I say, Walmart, it's one of the biggest supermarkets in the world. America, you know, I'll be dead honest with you. Our group was the talk in Walmart's head office, and our name was on top of a billboard with multi-billionaires around the table, and they stopped selling the Sun in 11 stores on Merseyside, because I went in with passion and spoke to the manager in Hunts Cross. And as I was talking to him, he's never met me before, this manager. He was the loveliest man, but he's got to have an open mind. His customers come before anything, and I understand that. But you know, when I was talking to him in the Asda, people were walking past me and tapping me on the back, and people were interrupting us saying, "Well done," and shaking my hand. And the manager was looking and thinking, aye, this is a lot bigger than what I'm actually thinking here. And within 2 weeks, They stopped selling it in there and 11 stores. Why can't WH Smith do that? Because as far as I'm concerned, the Asda's 100 times bigger than WH Smith. 100 times bigger.
And that was my next question. How are you finding the businesses that are reacting to you outside of say the likes of Asda, which is great. It's fantastic to see such a big company doing it. But say the likes of the smaller shops who their mainstay is selling newspapers and things like that. How have they reacted?
Right, I'd say it's going to be a bit ironic this, but I'd say 96. I'm going to use 96 because it's close to my heart. I'd say 96% of the shopkeepers in Liverpool are with us. I'd say that from the bottom of my heart. But there's a 4% that aren't with us. But there's a halfway point that I'm willing to go with. I'm not saying we go in and threaten. Well, I've never gone in, and none of my team have ever gone in and threatened any shopkeeper at all. We've always gone in, shook hands with them, asked them how they feel about the newspaper, asked them how they feel about not selling it. And I've gone halfway with them. One of them who looked at me when I went, and she said, "Oh, you're Gary from Shun the S." And I went in and shook her hand because she didn't have the sun on. And she went, "Honestly, Gary, I'm going to be really honest with you now. I've got 200 the shelf for regulars." And I shook her hand and went, "You know what? You've been honest. And you know what? I can't say to you, don't sell it to your customers." But she went halfway with me and said, "Well, the customer just gets it from under the counter. He's been getting it for 30 years. You've got to have an open mind." I respect the fact that she's been honest with me. I can't go in and say stop it. She could have had it on the shelf. As far as I'm concerned, there's nothing I can do. I can only ask and give advice and give them one of our leaflets and say, this is what the rag said about us and the Liverpool people and other people, Paul Gascoigne, Millie Dowler. You know, it's a very negative rag as far as I'm concerned. So as I say, we have got a percentage that you've got the percentage of customers that like sort of mainly the percentages out of towners and old age pensioners in Liverpool. As I say, an out of towner, someone from Manchester, Leicester, anyway, they'll come in because they read it. They haven't. It hasn't had any effect. They haven't caused them any grief or sorrow. So as I say, there is a bit of negativeness, but not much. There's not much.
Yeah. And just in terms of like, obviously, your goal is to remove it from the city, but your ultimate goal, I presume, is to basically to shut down the Sun. I think that's every Liverpool fan's.
It doesn't deserve to be on any shelf. No, it doesn't deserve. If the editor of the Sun in April at the Goonies, I can say Goonies, can't I? I know what you mean.
You can say whatever you want.
To basically, I can't understand the thought process behind them because straight away they had a big chance. I'm not voicing the whole of Liverpool or the whole of everyone that was affected by Hillsborough, but they had a big chance to give it a redeemer, which was basically justice at last and a little apology, front page instead of putting something about Big Brother. I can't for the life of me think it wouldn't have buried the hatchet, but it would have went a lot. I think that this campaign wouldn't be existing now, and the other campaign group as well wouldn't be existing now if they put a formal apology and done what everyone else done on that day in April when we got justification at Warrington about the lies and put on it that it was lies what they printed by a court of law. It's been proven to be lies. So let's put something on the front of our page and let's try and build the bridges.
Yeah, exactly. And tell me, just in terms of the local council, how are you faring out? Have you had any support from the council?
Personally, our group hasn't had any support of the council. Personally, that is between the 7 admins. But that's not in any way shadowing the council because I got a phone call to say about Joe Anderson at the Labour conference. I don't know if you're aware of it. I got a secret phone call. Basically, Joe Anderson is not happy with the Sun being given. Sorry, did I say the Sun? The rag being given away at the Labour conference. I think it's absolutely disgraceful. And Joe Anderson, as I say, I know apparently he's on board with the other group, but we haven't had any contact off Joe Anderson or anyone like that, so I can't vouch for him. But I do admire if you do support the campaign, because as I say, there's a campaign that we want support. If they're going to support it, I don't care who supports it, as long as someone supports it, because the more the merrier in my book.
Yeah, and tell me, what about just the same question pretty much in relation to Liverpool Football Club? Have they said anything about what you're trying to achieve or?
Right, Liverpool Football Club. Liverpool football fans are 1,000,000% behind the campaign.
Yeah.
Liverpool Football Club is a different kettle of fish. I love Liverpool. I'm passionate, love Liverpool, but we've had no acknowledgement of Liverpool. But in Liverpool's defence, we've never had to contact Liverpool Football Club. We've had no reason to.
Yeah.
But they did. We had the Leicester game. We done like a bit more of a promotion to promote the campaign outside Liverpool. Leicester game. We had a banner. We had a singer. The banner coincided with the song "Shun the S," for all those dirty lies they told. And basically, we had 6,000. We've got 6,000 signatures on a banner that we've now raffled off for more funds for our sticker turnaround. Liverpool FC didn't acknowledge us, but they didn't not acknowledge us. If you get what I mean.
Yeah.
They didn't rebel and tell us we couldn't do this or we couldn't do that.
Yeah.
But in Liverpool FC's defence, we haven't approached Liverpool because we don't need anything off Liverpool Football Club.
Yeah.
We do it ourselves, and we've got the support of the fans. So that's all we need. As long as we've got fan support, people power is what I believe in, and that's what we need. We don't need any politicians or any football clubs to help us. We can do it ourselves. We're the people, and that's that.
Exactly. Have you had any support? Sorry, John.
Go ahead.
Have you had any support from, the likes of Spirit of Shankly, Spine Cop 1906, or any of them?
No, we to be totally honest with you, we respect every campaign group. We respect everyone. We don't need to step on anyone's toes. We've sort of segregated ourselves as on a mission to rid the sun. People don't need us to sort of. I mean, I'll advertise anyone on our page, any charities on our page, but we sort of don't need to. So we've got the support on the Facebook page. And don't get me wrong, we'll add any group possible. I respect and love any Liverpool supporters club and groups and stuff like that. But as I say, we don't need to have support because, as I say, we've got 50,000 supporters. The more the merrier. Anyone can join us, basically. Yeah. But as I say, we're going all right, so we don't need to ask anyone. We can do it ourselves.
I don't know if you noticed or not, Gary, that Talk LFC set up a campaign to support your efforts, asking people to change their profile picture. Do you think it would be a good idea to have thousands of Facebook users with that yellow label? We support the Shun the Sun campaign.
Brilliant. We appreciate any sort of advertising. Basically, we've got one aim, and the one aim is to get the rag out of Merseyside. It doesn't deserve to be on our shelves, so the more the merrier. But as I say, if there's a charity, a cancer charity or something that needs to go on before us, we're not as important as them. I understand life's more important than our campaign, but the more the merrier. We'll accept anyone. We want 100,000. We want 1 million people to get the rag out of Liverpool. So the more the merrier.
And what can people do just to support your campaign? Is there anything that you'd want people to do that are listening to this?
The people on the street, I'd like them, if instead of sending us messages, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying we don't like the messages, but do something yourself. Basically, if someone says, Joe Bloggs is shopping, Neverly selling it, we'll go in and say to the shopkeeper, I get offended by that newspaper, I'm going to look to take my custom elsewhere. In the nicest possible way, just basically help us out. Inbox us for some posters, free posters that we give away, stuff like that. As I say, we get donations for stickers, but we've got 5,000 posters there that says basically don't buy the Sun, and at the back of it, it gives you the reason for not buying it. So basically, anyone wants an inbox, we send them some posters, even over an island, anywhere. I'll send them anywhere. Basically, the more the merrier to get on the campaign is what we want.
And of course, you have a public group set up. It's facebook.com/groups/Shun the Sun, and you can download the posters from that group.
Yeah.
So if anybody wants to download a poster or show their support in any way, they can do it in that way. Well, basically, Gary, we want to wish you every success with the campaign. Obviously, we'd love to see the Sun completely and utterly obliterated. And I'm going to do what Andy does when he says the name. He goes.
That's the point.
And we'll continue to support the campaign by asking our followers to change their profile picture as well, and do anything that they can, just as you said there. They could go in and mention it in their local news agents, whatever. Listen, Gary, thanks a million for joining us this evening, and what we do is we keep in touch through the group, and we'll keep people abreast of what's happening with the campaign also.
Just want to say a big thanks to everyone in Ireland, by the way, because they supported my Hillsborough campaign as well when I was giving the stickers away. I sent loads over to Ireland, Southern Ireland, Northern Ireland, Belfast. I want to say thanks to all the Liverpool fans and all the people that hate the Sun over in Ireland as well. Thanks very much, and really appreciate it, guys.
There's a huge contingency of Reds over here, so it is. And we really do sympathise, and I had a couple of friends. There was one particular friend of mine who used to read the Sun. He'd be young enough, man. He wouldn't.
Yeah.
He'd be a Liverpool supporter, and you know, it's amazing. Even those little things you notice that your guy kind of said to him, "Look, you shouldn't be reading that paper if you're a Liverpool fan."
Yeah.
You know, and immediately he stopped. You know,
Yeah.
and see, it's a younger generation that you kind of have to get to as well. You know.
Yeah, well, you believe it or not, around my area, the younger generation seem to all know about it because the dads sell them and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But as I say, the one that we did come across was with the different ethnic groups, and you know, as I say, there's a lot of Sri Lankan owners of shops, and we done an interview on Bay TV the other day with the guy from Sri Lanka who owns the shop by ours, who doesn't sell the rag, and he got an interview, and he was absolutely amazing what he said. I was shocked that his knowledge of what he knew was unbelievable. But yeah, as I say, thanks very much. It's been a pleasure.
Well, thanks very much for joining us, Gary. And as I said, we will touch base with you. We will continue to support the campaign.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you.
Thanks, Gary. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So that was Gary Gaze from the Shun the Sun campaign. As I said, they have a public group. It's facebook.com/groups/Shun the Sun. You can ask to join that group. It is a public group. It's not hidden or anything. They're also running a change.org campaign to stop the Sun being sold in WH Smith's. That's something that we mentioned earlier on. The link is on their group. It's also on our Facebook page at facebook.com/TalkLFC. I nearly forgot our own link at that stage. So that's pretty much it for the first portion of the show. What we're going to do is we're going to keep talking now. And the next thing, Sean, I mentioned this to you earlier in the week and did cause a lot of controversy was Norman Bettison's book, Hillsborough Untold, Aftermath of a Disaster.
Jesus Christ.
What I'm just going to do first of all is I'm just going to read a little bit of what was said, and this was printed in the Liverpool Echo last week. So just some of the details surrounding it is the former Merseyside Chief Constable Norman Bettison is to release a book about the Hillsborough disaster. The former South Yorkshire officer, who was a chief inspector in the force at the time of the 1989 tragedy, has written his personal account of Hillsborough Untold, which is set to be released next month. A statement on the website of Bite Back Publishing, which has acquired the world rights to the book, say the book describes how Hillsborough disaster unfolded, and it provides an insight into what was happening at South Yorkshire Police Headquarters in the aftermath, and gives an objective and compassionate account of the bereaved families' long struggle for justice. Now that sticks in my craw for a start, because I think that is one of the most despicable descriptions of a book, describing an entity who basically did everything but help and be compassionate towards the bereaved families. Then Norman Bettison then said himself, he said, I wrote this account because I did not want my 40-year professional career to be defined by false accusations. The book should appeal to anyone with an open mind who remains curious about one of the UK's most tragic and controversial peacetime disasters. Then the guy, the managing director of Bite Back Publishing, his name is Ian Deal, he said, Hillsborough was one of the most devastating tragedies in recent British history, causing untold grief and anger to the families and friends of those who died and spawning hundreds of individual stories. One of those stories belongs to Sir Norman Bettison, that's Sir, but a former senior policeman who was there on the day as a football supporter and later found himself caught up in accusations of a police conspiracy to push the blame for Hillsborough onto its fans. His is a story that has never been heard in its entirety. At Bite Back, we deeply respect the rawness of emotions surrounding Hillsborough. We hope Sir Norman's voice can only add to the ongoing narrative and maybe shed some new light into what happened on that day and why the aftermath was handled so disastrously and callously by the police, politicians, and football authorities. Now, I'm sorry, but this act by Norman Bettison is one of the most despicable and vile acts that I think I've ever seen happening surrounded, short of what the Sun themselves did. This guy is trying to cash in on this tragedy, and I think he hasn't been truthful once in his life up to this point. Why should he start being truthful now? I think it's just going to be a book of absolute and utter lies.
Am I allowed to use bad language here?
Use bad language. It's marked as explicit.
This absolutely makes my fucking blood boil when I hear and sees stuff like this. Bite Back Publishing should be ashamed of themselves, and there should be a boycott against them.
Yeah.
For someone like him to come out with a book like this after 27 years of a cover-up, and these families fighting for justice, it absolutely makes my blood boil.
Without a doubt.
I can't believe that he has the gall to come up with this shit.
It's completely and utterly sickening, so it is. And to be honest with you, and doing a little bit of research into this company, Bitepack Publishing, they've actually published stuff from Calvin Mackenzie, before the former editor of the Sun. So there is a link there, and these guys have history. He was interviewed a couple of days afterwards, and what he said, these are just some of the statements he said. He said, "I'm not stupid," and this is Ian Dale. He said, "I'm not stupid. I knew there would be a reaction. Mr. Bettison is not going to be re-interviewed by investigators from the IPCC. His part in that is all finished. The fact that he isn't being re-interviewed seems to him to be a good time to do it. We could have published in April when the inquest verdicts happened, but we didn't feel that was appropriate, and nor did he. Even if we had published the book at the end of everything that's going on, people would still say it's not a good time. When you're going to publish something like this, people will never think there is an appropriate time. The simple fact there is, it's not and never will be a good time. That man's book should be confined to the fucking bin,
It just infuriates me, John, because, if ever he wanted to tell the true story, you should have fucking told it on the goddamn day, that tragic day, instead of the fucking cover-up and the torture and the anguish that you caused the 96, their family. I mean, I've had the privilege of Facebook chatting Anne Williams before she died, God bless her. And it's such a gracious woman. For someone that went through all that she went through, and for her to be as gracious as she was till her dying day, and for him to have the cheek to come out with a book like that, I really want to know where the profit of those books are going to. Is it going into his pocket?
He did say that all proceeds of the book will go to charity, but regardless of this, to be honest with you, I don't think there'll be any proceeds from it, because I genuinely believe that nobody will buy this book. But that being said, this book should never be published. This book is too contentious. This guy has been given numerous opportunities over the years to come clean. The Liverpool Echo even doorstepped him, and he refused to speak to them. So this guy is nothing short of the lowest and vilest form of human being that there is on the planet, as far as I'm concerned. He's absolutely disgusting, should be given no time, and in actual fact, and I'm hoping that his part in it becomes apparent after these investigations, and that he does time, because I think every person who stood by and allowed this to happen is complicit in this cover-up, and should do time. Absolutely. As far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. For him to try to make money or to try and force his story, who gives a flying fuck what his story is?
Exactly.
The 96, that's the story, and that's the true story, and that's what that's what 27 years that their families were looking for, was the truth. They don't want to hear what he has to say. He had his choice. Now he's got to live with that for the rest of his life, and I hope it eats away at him until his dying day. I hope to God it eats away at him, because he should have a guilty conscience, and no one should give him the time of day. No one should read that book. No one should buy that book. No shop should sell that book, and no publishing company should ever publish a book like that.
Well, Amazon are selling it. That's where you can pre-order it, as far as I'm aware.
Well, that's a disgrace.
Yeah. Now, he said, the Ian Dale guy also said, he said, having read the book, I think there are things that will help the process. I think everybody will be surprised at what he's got to say about what was wrong from a police point of view. The guy, why would we be surprised by anything he has to say? That only means that he's been fucking lying up to this point, because if we know what he has said up to this point. How is it going to be any different in the book unless he's actually going to tell the truth? Which then fucking highlights the fact that he's been lying for the last 25 years. And
well, listen, even Ian Dale, I don't know who the fuck Ian Dale is. I don't really give a fuck. But the way, I mean, he just sounds like a money-grabbing bastard. And he should be hanging his head in shame. I mean, fuck him and fuck your man. I fuck the lot of them, seriously.
Just as well we tick the box for explicit this evening.
Yeah, I'm sorry, John.
Not at all.
Just makes my blood boil when I read shit like that.
Yeah, no, it's an extremely contentious situation, and I think that's the reason that they knew it was going to be. So, they're cashing in on something. And I don't believe this shit that this money is going to go to charity, or I don't believe it. Everybody can say
what charity would take it?
No, exactly.
What charity would take it?
And Ian Dale is going to profit from this. Bite Back Publishing is going to profit from this. I think it's disgusting. His last quote, one of the things he said was, "I would not have published it if I felt it was something which was going to be incredibly damaging for families." That statement in itself is one of the stupidest statements I have ever heard from someone who's supposed to be, in the media.
Well, what I want to know is, has he asked any of the families of the victims of the 96 about that? How can he speak for the 96 and say that he doesn't believe that book is going to be damning or going to affect the families? That's the biggest load of bullshit I've ever heard in my life. That I swear to God, John, I'm literally shaking here with anger here listening to that shite. Honest to God. He needs. I mean, I don't know what the hell it is with media nowadays. I mean, and we're even getting it over here as well. I think that there should be some sort of law to stop shit like this, to stop a rag like The Sun being published and publishing absolute crap. Do you know what I mean? And I mean, this publishing house now publishing this shit. I mean, obviously, this guy has done work with your man Mackenzie. So I mean, obviously, you know what team he's batting for.
Yeah.
So fuck him.
Yeah, it's annoying, and like the thing about it is, if you look at the actual quote that he said we wouldn't have published it if we felt it was something which was going to be incredibly damaging for families. The fact this guy's name alone is incredibly damaging to families. Everybody knows this guy's name, Bettison. His hand, act, and part in what happened afterwards will never be forgotten by any of the families of the 96. And I think the fact that he's coming out now and using this time to I don't know whether he's trying to ease his conscience or what he's at. But I think it's despicable. It's disgusting. This guy should just go away and fucking die, preferably a slow death. I don't want to be too contentious about this.
Amen to that. Amen. No. Let it all rip, John. Amen to that. I mean, listen. He should have told his story when it mattered the most. He should like they put the blame on those fans, and the damning truth that came out. That's the damage. Knowing that they could have saved people's lives, they could have saved. I think was it 46 of the 96 or something like that. I'm not 100% sure, but the lives could have been saved.
Yeah,
and you know what? Honest to God, people would want to take a long, hard look at themselves. You live and die by your actions.
Absolutely.
And I'm not saying I'm perfect or anything like that, but I don't fucking cover up, the death of 96 people and try and blame the fans.
Martin's made a good point here as well. He said if he does publish this book, he will walk a tightrope. I think you're right there, Martin. I think he's painted a big target on his head. Well,
that target should have been. Sorry,
You know,
John.
especially if it's a case that and Martin is saying this is the publishing company he means, and yeah, and I agree with you, but this company again should be something that people steer clear of. This man should have more sense. He knows what sells, he knows what won't sell. He knows that this is a contentious book, and that's the reason he's publishing it. It just, as you said already, it makes my blood boil. It really does, and I think it's one of the most vile acts that could be carried out. As far as I'm concerned, this guy should keep his fucking mouth shut. Why would he not tell the inquiry the stuff if it's supposed to be the revelations that are coming out in the book, which is what he's alluding to here? Does that then mean that he didn't tell the inquiry this, but yet he's going to save it for his juicy little book? I think it's absolutely despicable.
The fact that this guy has actually spent time sitting down writing this thing, while the families of the 96 have struggled and fought tooth and nail, and some of them haven't. Some of the families haven't lived to see justice. I mean, you're looking at Anne Williams, God bless her.
Mm-hmm.
And Sarah Williams, fair play to her, helped along with that most definitely. But these people fought tooth and nail, fought against the government to try and get justice, to try and get the truth out. And here's this guy writing up a book after the cover-up. And, I am not a bit intrigued about what he has to say. I couldn't care less what he has to say. I'd imagine anyone that has any sort of morals or principles don't give a fuck about what he has to say. I think it should be in the deepest cesspit of hell, that book, and never to be read.
Absolutely. Every copy of it should be shredded and the paper from it burned.
Along with Mein Kampf by fucking Hitler.
Yeah. The next topic I wanted to discuss now, and I'm kind of moving on quickly from that. I know because we can get pretty aggressive over this, and I kind of want to change the subject a bit. It kind of linked to Hillsborough in a sense is the safe standing at Anfield. There's a Spirit of Shankly, the supporters union, recently had their AGM, and the members were voting on the proposals that were put to the AGM. It was held on the 24th of September. The members voted 93% in favour of the union adopting a position on rail seating, with 4.7% against. Now, this is all this is that they're going to adopt. Like, basically, they were asking the members should they have a position on rail seating. And just in case anybody doesn't know what rail seating is, it's a specific type of seat that basically it's like the rails you'd see at a concert to stop crushing, but there's a seat built into it. So in place of your current seat, which would fold back up, there's a rail up behind it. And what it's basically for is that if there is any crushing behind, which can happen and happens in the COP, as you'd hear people attest to, is, when you're seated and you stand up in a game, there's nothing to stop you from falling over the front of the seat in front of you if you're pushed. And I'm surprised something like this hasn't happened to this point. But where the rail seating comes in is the rail at the back of the seat means that you can actually stand behind the seat and put your hands on the rail. It's that high up, so it would stop you from being thrown over. It just means that it allows for safe standing. And areas like the COP where people go and stand, the seats are there, but people still stand to watch the match. It just means it's a safer environment. So basically, Spirit of Shankly are adopting a position on this. They've asked their members whether or not they should have a position on this. So what they've said they're going to do is they're going to include it. Work will now begin on shaping what happens next. So the 93% voted in favour of them adopting a position. So this will include a discussion with supporters, experts, and the respective Hillsborough groups. So they are going to discuss this with some of the Hillsborough families as well. Ultimately,
I think they already brought. Sorry,
yes.
John. Yeah.
There was
No,
actually there was a member of there was a man there at the AGM who lost someone at Hillsborough, and he did
yeah,
say he was very vocal in the fact that he was in favour of these seats, and he did say he's actually going to a Celtic match, and Celtic have actually put 2,400 of these seats actually in an area in the stadium, so they're one of the first stadiums to roll these out. Now these are being used all over Germany. To great success. Um, so, but they're saying that they're not going to be rushed on this, and nor will it be ignored. It's important that they have an open and honest discussion that respects and listens to all views, even those that disagree, and that they'll release further information about how this will be done in due course. So that's the situation. But somebody made a point, and I was kind of doing a little bit of investigation on this, and some of the quotes that were made were, say, for example, the West Ham's, the new stadium West Ham are in at the moment. Excuse me. They had a portion of the old stadium, the bowling ground, where people used to stand to watch the match, and that was fine. There was never any issue with that. But what's happened since they went into this new Olympic Stadium is these fans are now dispersed throughout the entire stadium. And what's happening is these people who want to stand are now in the middle of people who are sitting to watch a match. So it's causing and has caused fights. So that's why I'm saying if you had a specific area in the ground for this safe seating or safe standing, I think it would take out all of the safety issues that are being created by people standing. And I think it's while I know it's not going back to the old. When I heard it first, I thought this is completely disrespectful to the 96. But when you look at it and when you've actually seen the seats, and what I'll do later on is I got some photographs of some of the seating and I'll post it on our Facebook page just to give people an idea of what it actually looks like. And when you see it, the second you see the photograph, you'll see, yeah, that's perfectly safe looking to me. You know, it stops pushing for, if you're at the back. As tend to happen in the COP is a lot of the people at the back tend to stand. So if there's a bit of pushing at the back, it doesn't carry forward to the front. It stops at the rail. Have you seen any of these pictures, Sean?
To be honest with you, I haven't really. I've kind of seen like pictures of Celtic, what they have over in Celtic. It's a very, very sensitive subject and something that I think it's. I watched the AGM there at Spirit of Shankly all 1 hour and I don't know 20-30 minutes of it, and I think yes they should have a view on it. I think they're going about it the right way. They're talking to the members of the organisations, Hillsborough support group, Hillsborough Justice Campaign. I think they were speaking to Sheila Coleman, saying that they were going to bring this up in the AGM and review the situation. I think, I mean, I don't really have a view on it, good, bad, or indifferent, because I think if you, it's not something that you should rush into making a decision on. I mean, people, I suppose, are talking about the atmosphere being dead because of the fact that there is no standing. And I think that being all well and good, I think it is important that safety of the fans that go to a match is paramount, and I think that's extremely important.
Absolutely.
So I think it's not something that they should rush into. I think, sure, open up the debate on it. Obviously, you have to be extremely sensitive with regards to, the families of the 96. Obviously, other stadium disasters as well. It's just such a sensitive subject, and I don't know whether there's ever a good time to bring it up or ever a bad time to bring it up. I'm not 100% convinced. I think I don't know. It's just such a difficult conversation because I have spoken to people that were at Hillsborough, that survived Hillsborough, and some of the stuff that they've said is just something that you couldn't imagine.
But you see, with this rail seating, with this safe standing, you would still be assigned a specific seat. So the thing is, and look, I'm not advocating for this in any way, shape, or form, and the club hasn't even been contacted on this. This is only about Spirit of Shankly adopting a position on it. But you would still be assigned a seat. So if there's for example, if there's 12,000 seats in the Kop, well, that's the only amount of people that will be in it. There won't be any overcrowding like what happened in the Leppings Lane and at Hillsborough. But the whole point of this, and I think this is where it comes into its own, that you just mentioned it there, was the fact that the atmosphere inside of the ground can be muted at times from the Kop because you have people sitting, and I think if you allowed, say for example, just the Kop to be standing, I think that would have a huge impact on the atmosphere within the ground. Because you have everybody standing, then everybody knows that they're going in there, they're going to be standing. So I can see, you can see the positives for it. And what it also ties into as well, and somebody else has made this point, I was reading while I was doing a little bit of research on this, is the Kop now, if you look at the goal celebrations, and I think you mentioned this as well, Sean, the players are now celebrating in front of the main stand instead of celebrating across the Kop like they used to. And that's why we need to bring back the significance of the Kop, and people you can't forget that the Kop are world famous, and that's, everybody knows Liverpool Kop. You shouldn't be, and I think the players need to be told as well, celebrate in front of the Kop.
Absolutely. I think obviously that brings another issue about the regards to the phase 2 or phase 3 of the expansion of Anfield, whether there is going to be a phase 2 or phase 3. I personally, I would, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. But regards to this railing seating or whatever it's called, I just think that rather than thinking about the atmosphere of the ground or the stadium, I think most importantly, obviously the safety of the fans is important.
Absolutely.
So it's something that they cannot be rushed into.
And as I said already, we can't. Liverpool Football Club have not made any noises about putting in this type of seating. This is not that stage yet. And Andy Burgess earlier on, when we were doing a little bit of research on this and we were talking about it, Andy was saying that the type of seating that's going in and has been put in Celtic is actually more expensive than the current type of seating, because it's an ordinary seat that's in there at the moment. This would include the same seat but with a stainless steel rail kind of over like a frame over and around the back of the seating, so it would be more expensive to put in. So that is the other side of it. So there is nothing to gain from any extra people going in either. That's another thing. It is a bigger expense.
Unless Steed won't like that.
Yeah, exactly. And that was one of the things that you just touched on there, was that the Anfield Road extension and the ticket prices and that. And you did a very good article on the website, on your website, for Fenway Become Not to Pay during the week. Early last week, was it?
It was. I can't remember when exactly. It was last week. Yeah.
And you're the author of this now, so I'm putting you on the spot. You should be able to remember exactly everything that's written in there.
Oh God, am I gonna have to recite it? Well, I mean, basically. Oh Christ. Well, I mean, basically, it's kind of like, well, how sincere are FSG with their ticket U-turn, their apology to the fans after the walkout in '77, and clearly they're not. If you go back to, what Henry said about, well, I think there's a huge issue with the price of tickets in England. So he's more or less saying, well, it's not financially viable for us to extend Anfield Road because we can't fit commercial seats there, so it's going to be, whatever amount of money for 6,000 extra seats.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not going to benefit them, but they're not really thinking of the long term. And again, this just really puts the ambitions of the owners, it puts a huge question mark over it.
It does.
I mean, I've been campaigning against this, or against the owners, since 2012, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
And, we haven't exactly had the greatest amount of support, because people see FSG as the saviours, the people that saved us. And really the kind of meter that they have measured FSG is, well, they're better than Gillette and Hicks. And to me, that's a pretty low expectation of owners of the club. And I think they're really, they're getting a pat on the back over the main stand, which is fantastic, looks fantastic, brilliant. But that's a loan that we have to pay back in 5 years. Now, what they're now looking at is, okay, Anfield Road. And they're now looking at, well, is it financially viable for us to go and extend that when we can't put any commercial seats or corporate seats? And to me, it's just basically saying, we want quick money, we want a quick profit, and that's it.
Yeah,
that's the
main stand. The main stand is basically going to pay for itself and more within the 5-year time frame. That's a very, very short time frame in any business model. So that's the reason that the main stand was built to the extent that it was, because they knew they would get a return on it. Now, there is a bigger picture on this, and that's something that I just wanted to bring up. I'm not changing the subject, but it's something that we're going to be addressing in an episode or a show at the end of October. We're going to be discussing, there's a bigger issue around tickets, and we're going to dedicate a full show to it at the end of October. This will be about ticket prices, corporate prices, these travel agents, the fact that there's only 20% of Liverpool that are season ticket holders, compared to the likes of Man United, who 70% of theirs are ticket holders. Little things like the use of season tickets, that somebody else can use them. It's frowned upon, but whereas other stadiums and other teams or clubs allow people to share their season tickets when they're not there, different things like that. And we will be looking at the bigger issue of tickets at the end, probably at the end of October. We'll do a full show. We'll dedicate a full show to that. But just in terms of the article that you wrote, and I think it puts it in a nutshell. And I think other people kind of followed your lead on this one, was that why come out with this now when everything was looking rosy? The timing on this is absolutely terrible. Yeah,
absolutely.
The fact that the on-pitch performance is so good, everybody's buzzing, and everybody's talking us up being title contenders and whatever, and next thing, these two clowns come out and drop a bombshell right in the middle of everything. And as you said, they basically made a lie of their open letter to the fans and their U-turn on ticket prices and what have you. By just that one simple statement, that he said about the tickets, about there being an issue with tickets prices in England. Now
I wouldn't even mind, John, but he didn't even mention, he didn't direct that to the Liverpool fans. It was indirect. It was actually in New York that he made that statement.
Yeah.
Which goes to show how completely insincere and sneaky this fucker is.
Yeah. And that kind of followed up. A&R made statements the previous week as well about ticket prices and what have you. And he was famously on the record as saying at the time of the walkout in '77, be careful what you wish for. And, a few people kind of said at the time, kind of smell a rat here. And I would still be very, very questionable and very skeptical over these things that are coming out at the moment. Now, the walkout on '77, like those ticket prices have been frozen for 2 years. So I'm just thinking that what they're trying to do is they're trying to guilt trip the fans into saying, oh, well, maybe we should accept a higher price because, if we can't, well, then it's our fault that we're not able to extend the stadium, and it is, that's, in my opinion, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to guilt trip the fans.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, if you look at the amount of money that they've received from TV revenue, if you look at the amount of money that they've brought in from commercial and sponsorship deals, and they have yet to bring in money from the naming rights for the main stand. They've yet to sort that out, which is a bit bizarre, to be perfectly honest with you. Usually, I would expect them to have that done and dusted, but I think there's more to that than meets the eye.
Without a shadow of a doubt. And like there are time constraints on this outline planning permission. The September next year is the cutoff point on this, and but I think there's a bit of leeway in that. I'm sure they can get an extension on that as well. So I don't think it's time constraints that they're trying to put pressure on fans to. I don't understand the logic behind this, but I know myself, these guys don't do anything by accident. These guys are PR guys. They know what they're at. There's a reason for coming out and saying what they said, and I'm just afraid that there is a bomb coming.
I don't know,
soon.
John. I think they're being careless now because I think people are just believing anything. As I said in the article, people, FSG can piss on most of people's backs and convince it's raining. But as I said, rain never smelt this bad. And, I think I do definitely smell a rat. I was delighted when I was watching, as I said to you there before the podcast, Spirit of Shankly's AGM, and I had looked at a couple of their response with regard to the John W. Henry's statement, and I was delighted to see that they are actually not too happy with this. Now, I know that they're kind of been left in the dark, according to the AGM, Spirit of Shankly, that there's no communication between Liverpool Football Club and Spirit of Shankly now. And I think that's going to be very, very interesting because they're talking about people power. And I've been all for that. I know that people that know me and know my group would know that I'm not exactly the biggest fan of Mr. McKenna, but if they can do good and if they can make a stand against these owners and against what they're trying to do and them trying to pull the wool over the majority's eyes, well then I'm all for it. I'm absolutely all for them, holding them accountable. But they talked about funding Anfield Road. Spirit of Shankly funding Anfield Road.
Yeah.
And I saw that was brought up to Ian Ayre, and Ian Ayre was completely surprised by it, that his attitude was completely relaxed. And this had been mentioned before about the main stand, that Spirit of Shankly would fund that too. So it's interesting days. It's interesting days, but I would just ask people just to keep a close eye and keep your mind open, because these guys are not what they make themselves out to be. They're not in it for the passion of the club. Why would they want to rip off the fans if they were?
It's definitely, it's as they say, watch this space. And anybody who's interested in that AGM video for Spirit of Shankly is actually available on their Facebook page. If you go and look at it, it's a good insight into what happened around the time of the walkout and that time period and what's actually happening at the moment. It is a good watch. I watched it yesterday as well, and it will give you a good insight into it. Anyways, moving swiftly along. Just, I suppose, finally to finish on a positive note, because this was kind of a little bit of a negative there mid part of the show. So but just you can't have a Liverpool show at the moment without discussing Jurgen Klopp's 1-year anniversary. And Liverpool news is slim pickings on the ground at the moment because of the international.
Absolutely.
So it's great to have something like this to be able to focus the fans. And the one thing that I really, really enjoyed about it is that Liverpool fans really, really got caught up in this. And the amount of videos you see being shared around with his best moments from the year and stuff like that, it's uplifting,
Absolutely. I mean, I wasn't. I certainly didn't slate Brendan Rodgers. I actually liked the guy, and I thought, this guy wanted to do the best that he could do. Why else would he be in the job? And I think he was limited to what he could do. And obviously, because this was a huge step from who he managed to who he's managing now, yes. I think he was limited. And he didn't want to kind of rock the boat too much. So I feel sorry for Rodgers. However, with that said, I do think that they gave him more time than he should have had.
Yes.
I think Klopp certainly has bought FSG more time. I think, Klopp, a lot of FSG sympathisers say, they got us the best manager in the world. And he is, by far. We talk about the 12th man. Well, I mean, if the fans are the 12th man, he's the conductor. I mean, we Absolutely. Talk about heavy metal football. He's conducting the fans. He's saying, no, don't fucking sing for me, and he's just, what I was always worried about was when he got the job, that if FSG fucked him about, that he would walk and we would never get anyone like him again. And that's what my main concern is. He has been unbelievable. With the team that he has, he's unbelievable.
He's really, really bought into the philosophy of the club. Like, as you mentioned there, he has a rapport with the fans. Just some of the things that he did. We say, for example, when the fans were walking out, I think was it Watford? I can't remember what game it was. But fans leaving early. And he pulled them on it and said, you stay to the end. And when you see, there's no question in the man's passion. There's a clip online, and I think I put it up in one of the videos that we did on our page last week, was that, it showed him celebrating, I think it was against Valencia, where James Milner put in a tackle on the halfway line. And it was filmed, one of the fans was filming it. And he actually celebrated the tackle as if the goal had been scored, which was absolutely amazing to see.
Yeah.
And then he turns around and he lifts the fans, and and he's like a breath of fresh air to the club. And you look at some of the stats he has: 61 games played in all competitions, 24 of these have been cup ties. That alone is a stat that we were in 2 finals last year.
Yeah.
And he was one of the biggest contributing factors of us being there.
Absolutely.
And of those 24 ties, 13 Europa League, 7 League Cup, and 4 FA Cup. He has 30 wins out of the 61 games, so that's 49%, with 18 draws and 13 losses. And so far, he's had 108 points. Now, we've scored 4 goals or more 11 times out of those 61 games, 5 at Anfield and 6 on the road. And we've had 9 penalties awarded, every single one of them of which we've scored. So, they're just some of the stats from him.
Yeah, I mean, not bad for a team that kind of have like a struggling, strikers partnership. Like we're not 100% sure with Sturridge and when he's fit. I mean, Origi has certainly worked very well with him. Firmino has worked extremely well with him. Lallana has certainly upped his game. Lovren has upped his game. What he's looking for is someone that plays for 90 minutes, not kind of loses pace after about 70 or 80 minutes, because then you're going to be taken off. You've seen that time and time again. If you can't keep up the pace, you're off. That's as simple as that.
And
if
he
you're
said it
going on your
himself, his
third
own
goal.
philosophy. He said it himself, his own philosophy is that nobody has a job. Everybody does a job. It's as simple as that. So everybody attacks, everybody defends, and lead from the front. And actually, just in terms of his tactics, there's a very good video on the Red Men TV breaking down Jurgen Klopp's tactics. It's about 30
Yeah.
minutes long, but Chris Pajak from the Red Men TV goes through Klopp's tactics. And I mean, if you a football fan, you don't have to be a Liverpool fan to watch this, but if you're a football fan, watch this video because it gives you an amazing insight into exactly what he's thinking. Because it shows obviously how he plays in different portions of the field, when we have the ball, when we don't have the ball, how the closing down actually works. It talks about player shadows and passing shadows and stuff like that as well. So it's not just about what it tries to do is when we don't have the ball is to try and close down the person who has the ball and limit their options on where they can pass it. So really they're left with no option but to kick the ball off and then we recover the ball. And Chris Pajak, he breaks it down and he's drawn this on a glass board, which is it's illustrated and everything. It's fantastic. If go to the Red Men TV. It was only published last week as part of their Jurgen Klopp week, so definitely go and have a look at it. It's on our Facebook.
That was
page
actually,
as well.
Sorry, John. That was actually when Klopp was announced as manager. I think he had that video up, so maybe they republished it. But I remember watching it when Klopp became manager. So
Right,
is that the guy with the glasses? Is it?
Klopp has glasses, yeah.
No. You're a man from
Chris Pajak has TV. Glasses, yeah. Chris Pajak. No, this came out last week as part of Klopp week. They did a week. He did something previous to this on a kind of a smaller scale. This one goes much deeper into the Jurgen Klopp's tactics. Now, I mean, what I mean by going deeper is, he shows certain situations where a team has the ball and say a specific player has the ball. So you have 5 players surrounding him. They close him down. But he also said that there's like a shadow, that each player creates a shadow. And that basically limits the passing direction that the ball can go. So they limit their options. So say, for example, if they're on the right side of the pitch, well then all the Liverpool players press this one player into that corner of the pitch because then he has only one way to go, and that's out to the right. Whereas if they're in the middle and they've plenty of, if players in the middle of the pitch, well then they can spread the ball to 3 or 4 different positions. So that's what they try to do, to try and limit the passing options, to try and recover the ball as quickly as possible. And also then he said in terms of attacking play is that you can see the difference in the attacking players now, where before there would have been straight runs through, whereas this time they kind of taper their run or curve their run to get in behind a player. And it's a lot more clever use of tactics. It's definitely a good view. Definitely something that people should go and look. I know that's a big. I've kind of gone off on an angle there, on a tangent, but it was great to see the positiveness this week about Klopp, and and I have to say I really got caught up in it as well. I do a bit of video editing as well. I'm not a big fan of it, but it was one of the things I enjoyed doing this week. While I was editing the videos of Klopp that we put up on our page, was that I was still finding myself laughing, while I was editing clips that I would have watched 5 or 6 times previous to this. I was still finding them funny.
Absolutely. No, I mean, to be honest with you, like with our page, Fenway We Come Not to Pay, I mean, it's been kind of... Okay, I mean, we're bringing up kind of negative stuff or stuff that we feel needs to be addressed, but I mean, even, I suppose, ourselves couldn't... We just... Obviously, we got caught up in the whole kind of Klopp mania, if I can call it that. And I mean, the guy is an absolute legend. I mean, he's certainly, his philosophy is certainly very reminiscent of the Shankly way, that everyone has a job to do, and they have to do it to the best of their ability, or if they slack off, they should be fucked off into the reserves. I think you've seen that with Sacco. You've seen that with Sturridge to a certain degree, and you've seen it even with Coutinho. The guy holds no prisoners. If you are slacking, that's it. It's as simple as that.
But it's nice to see. It's nice to see a manager take a firm stance on things like that, because like,
Brilliant.
the likes
Yeah.
of what Sacco did, right? Fair enough. I don't know what happened. We don't know the full story, but he shouldn't be speaking out. And one of the
No.
things that he did is he put him into the reserves. And what he's also done. This came out during the week that he's basically had a word with the players and told them that no shit on Snapchat. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, just one of those. Just one of
I'm
the
glad he's
stories
not
that
on
came
my
out.
Snapchat.
Well, I'm telling you. But one of the stories that came out during the week has come out this week, and it kind of ties in with what he's done. He's transformed a lot of players, the likes of Adam Lallana, Firmino. Coutinho's playing a lot better. Dejan Lovren is playing great stuff. And
Yeah.
what's come out during the week is that PSG and Barcelona have put Coutinho high on their list for January for transfer. Now, what's happening at the moment is there's talk that the Lovren, Coutinho, and Lallana are all going to be offered new contracts.
Mhm.
So I think that's basically to improve. I hope, and I'm really not trying to be cynical here, I'm hoping that they're giving them new contracts the same way they give Jurgen Klopp new contracts, to tie them down for a longer period of time, give them a better deal in the hope that they'll stay at the club. And I hope it's not for improving our sell-on value. I really hope it's not for that. I'm being optimistic in this, in the sense that I'm hoping that it is a case that we're tying them down to long-term contracts. But rumour has it that PSG in particular are supposed to be offering Lucas Moura in a trade plus cash deal in January. And those of you who aren't familiar with Lucas Moura, he's a winger. I think he's Brazilian as well.
Yeah.
He went to PSG last year for 45 million, and he hasn't really been much of a. He's been a bit of a flop, pretty much. But there's talk of them giving us cash plus him as a replacement. Now, I really hope we hold on to him, because I think this is the best spine we've had of a team in a long time. And, there's great, fantastic potential in this team if we can hold on to our players. So that's just some of the stuff that has come out this week. Now, I wouldn't be adverse to giving these guys improved contracts, anything to keep them at the club, And as I said, I'm just hoping that it's not just a facility or a vehicle to give us a bigger sell-on clause, if you know what I mean. Or bigger.
I mean, John, let's look at the history, man. This happened with Skirtle. It happened with
I think Suarez is the one that sticks in everybody's mind. But
absolutely.
I'm kind of hoping that this is a positive thing, more so that we're tying them down the same way we tied Klopp down to the 6-year contract that he was offered there recently. But one thing I will say about Klopp is, and from his initial interview, one of the things that he said, and his hope for the club, was to turn doubters into believers. And I think he's definitely done that. Like at the moment, Liverpool lead the stats for most shots on goal, most shots created, most kilometres run, most passes, most dribbles, and most sprints. So, those statistics speak for themselves. I know we haven't a great defensive record at the moment, but I think it's something that will come in time,
Well, I mean, we can only improve, and I think, we've done. I look. I mean, I'll be honest with you, John. I wasn't too hopeful for this season. I don't think many of us were. I think when you look at the players we brought in, I mean, some of them are good, but I think Milner has impressed me completely. I didn't think he would be any good as left back. I thought it was an absolute disgrace that we didn't get a left back. And I think, that's obviously down to his character. He's a good lad. I think it's also down to Klopp and his man management.
Yeah.
And I think, again, I don't want to be negative about anything here, because at the end of the day, I think we've done extremely well under Klopp. I think Klopp certainly has made a lot of doubters into believers,
Yeah. And as Andy is saying here in the chat, he said, it's nice to be proven wrong on occasion, Sean. And it is nice. Do you know what I mean? Because, well, you have to look at the Liverpool of previous years. our expectations have come that, we're a roller coaster team. We win and then we go shit, and then we win again and then we go shit. It's nice to have a bit of consistency in the team. It's nice to have something to cheer for a change. Don't get me wrong. I'm not being a sunshine supporter. I've supported Liverpool through thick and thin.
Absolutely.
I support them when we win, lose, and draw, and I know you're the same way.
Absolutely.
It's not that we're trying to be negative to the team or anything like this, but it's amazing how you become kind of attuned to a certain type of behavior because of the way things have gone over the previous years. And and that's what I'm saying, it's nice to have this feeling. It's nice to have this breath of fresh air. Normally I'm really, really not enjoying this international break because
No, I absolutely hate it.
I just can't, next Monday night can't come quick enough for me.
Yeah.
And actually something about next Monday night, I'm not sure if you've seen the stories, but we have a referee from the Greater Manchester area refereeing the match next week.
I did, yeah. How convenient.
Andrew Taylor, I think his name is.
How convenient.
Yeah, so.
Well, look, I mean, let's see how the guy fares out. But I mean, going back to what you were saying about the mood, and the mood has changed. I mean, first and foremost, and just answering Andy. First and foremost, I'm a Liverpool supporter. Win, lose or draw, I back the manager. I back the players. I love the football club. Absolutely adore it. The second thing is, I am certainly in a group that hold the owners accountable, because I do feel that we need to. But going back to what I'm saying, I'm really enjoying the football. I think it's the first time in a long, long time where I've really enjoyed the football. And it's very, very positive. It's extremely, extremely positive. The one thing that I don't want to do is to be going around, this is our year, or jumping on the bandwagon.
Yeah, it's too soon.
And getting ahead of ourselves.
It's too soon. Actually, you may have heard me laughing there halfway through what you were saying. Andy made a very funny comment in the chat. He said that Andrew Taylor, the referee, he'd probably be the only mank on the pitch or in the ground on the night of the match.
That's very true. That's very true. Well, I think the Manx have serious problems. I think they've got certainly an overrated player in Pogba. They have a completely has-been Wayne Rooney. I think his career is over, as far as I'm concerned. I don't think he fits even in the England setup, not alone in the United setup. And I think a lot of Man U fans are saying the same thing. So I think from if you're to look at this from the outside looking in, I think we're coming into this match a lot more positive than United are. Let's see how it turns out. It should be interesting.
And Klopp has given them, Mourinho has given them all the week off apparently, as well.
I bet. Yeah.
Another revelation that came out during the week was it just proves how thin underground Liverpool news is. But some of the newspapers picked up on the fact that Joe Allen said that he was a Man United fan, so he won't endear himself to the, didn't exactly endear himself to or make himself a legend. But look at I love Joe Allen. I really do. I thought he was. I always loved when he was playing for Liverpool. He always gave 110%. So,
he did. And I don't. I think Rodgers really kind of. I don't think Rodgers gave him a fair chance when he started calling the Welsh Savvy. I think then that was it. I think though when Joe Allen came on, he fought to me he was like the closest thing to Dirk Kuyt. His he wasn't fancy, but his work rate was certainly there.
Yeah, you could certainly never question that.
When he started to turn into Perlo's love child, with the beard and the long hair, I mean, then he started becoming Brazilian or Italian, or honest to God, some of the stuff that he was, during the summer, I thought, holy Christ, this is a great old player.
Yeah.
But then we sold him,
What? Apparently he's a Man United fan. I wouldn't hold it against him because he had Paul Pogba in his pocket for the entire match last week. So,
absolutely.
The fact that he scored against him, it didn't seem to upset him too much. You know,
No.
so now just one other thing I wanted to discuss just before we go, Sean, was the Liverpool Supporters Charter. I don't know, did you see this? It came out in the Liverpool Echo last week, and I'm just going to bring up the link here now because I wasn't prepared here. I had forgotten about this actually, but Liverpool fans were warned or have been warned over offences that will get you a lifetime ban. So this was in the Liverpool Echo. This post is on
Is
our
my
Facebook
name on
page.
that list?
Yeah, I'm sure it's there, but it's not obvious, you know. But it's a list of some of the things that can get you banned, and you know what different offences that will get you different levels of bans. Now, again, we're going to touch on some of this at the end of the month when we're talking about our ticketing, some of the things around ticketing, and one of the things we're going to be discussing is touting, and that's kind of mentioned in this. Slightly mentioned in it, and it's very, very contentious in the fact that they don't allow fans to tout tickets, but yet they allow these travel agencies to do it. But some of the stuff that we say unacceptable conduct, say persistent standing of visiting supporters in home areas, that gets you an ejection from the stadium, a minimum sanction of a written warning, and a possible maximum sanction of a 3-match ban.
Jesus.
Discriminatory behaviour or language, so any racist, homophobic, anti-Semitic, anti-disability language, offensive chanting or abuse is an immediate ejection from the stadium. Minimum sanction is a season ban. The optional sanction is a 3-season ban, and then the maximum sanction is a lifetime ban. Disorder,
I'd agree with that.
Yeah, well, I absolutely I would agree with those ones. Disorder, fighting, and physical assault, again, straight away ejected from the stadium. Minimum sanctions is a 6-match ban. Probably the one they're going to give is the season ban, and then you'd be looking at a 3-season ban. So there's no lifetime ban. There is a lifetime ban for fighting. Yes, there is. Excuse me. And then the use of pyrotechnics. Now that's something that has been used at some of the games recently, outside and inside the stadium. But that gets you immediate ejection from the stadium. Minimum sanction of a 3-match ban. The obvious optional sanctions will be 6-match or a season ban, and you can get up to a 3-season ban for the use of pyrotechnics. Now, missile throwing, including coins, alcohol, drinks in the stands or on the concourses or onto the pitch, incurs the same ban, as does any pitch incursion of any kind. As does any abusive or aggressive behaviour towards any LFC staff, be it verbal or physical. They will result in up to lifetime bans with a minimum of a 3-match ban. Drinking outside the stadium or on the concourse or in the stands or in the hospitality areas, that is ejection from the stadium again, and up to a 6-match ban for maximum. And then you have drinking alcohol in view of the pitch. So you have to turn your back to the pitch when you're drinking alcohol, apparently. So in the stands, marked concourse areas, hospitality areas within a view to the pitch. So that's another one of these that has a maximum of 6-match ban. Persistent foul and abusive language. Now, come on, in fairness. Now, I can see towards players, staff, and whatever, fellow supporters, home supporters, whatever, but everybody uses bad language, for fuck's sake. Come on, you know?
For fuck's sake, that's fucking terrible.
So that's a 6-match ban, up to a 6-match ban. All of these are immediate ejection from the stadium, by the way, regardless of what it is. And then you have follow-on bans from this. Now, there are 1 or 2 issues that I'm going to mention around. There's only 2 more things that I was going to mention. The ticketing, as I said, ticketing is immediate ejection, a written warning. You can get a minimum of a 3-match ban. You can get a 6-match ban. You can get a season ban for ticketing, and you can also get a lifetime ban. So that's for ticket touting. I think that's bullshit. Certain forms of ticketing, yes. People who are taking tickets and selling them at fucking triple and quadruple the price, I think is wrong. But there are travel agents that are doing it and they're getting away with it. So it should be knocked out straight away. And also what they're saying. Go ahead.
No, I was just wondering, is there anything about holding a one-man protest? Is there
no, there's no ban for that, I don't think.
Okay, phew.
No, safe enough there. And the last one then is, and I think it's quite funny, smoking of e-cigarettes. There's a non-compliance across the board in the stadium. It's a completely no smoking. So you can be ejected from the stadium. You will get a written warning. That's the minimum sanction. You can get a 3-match and the maximum sanction is a 6-match ban. And Sean is saying there that if you do a one-man protest, that you get a medal for that.
Well,
Or Andy is saying, sorry, I said Sean, didn't I? I meant to say Andy.
Yeah, I was wondering. I was like, I'm here. I
Yeah.
didn't say that. Yeah, well, yeah, I did that. I think it's the e-cigarette thing is just so you can be smoking a joint, but you wouldn't get a ban for that, no.
Oh no, you get like if you're smoking a cigarette, you get a ban, and if you're smoking an e-cigarette, you get the same ban. That's
Okay.
basically the situation. Now these are these are just recently released by the club. I think there's a lot of people have issues with these because I think the grievance process at the moment is not good with Liverpool Football Club. That there have been scenarios where people have gotten a letter from Liverpool saying that they've been banned over stuff that they didn't do. So. And that was one of the things, actually, just harping back to the Spirit of Shankly AGM, was one of the things that was brought up about it, that I think this is the reason around this sanction. So I think this is the start of maybe a little bit of progress on this, that, rather than you just getting a letter to say you're banned and, there's a grievance process that you can appeal it and you can fight your case, whereas before you couldn't. So that's a good thing in a way, I suppose. But just in terms of the ticketing, as I said, we're going to be discussing that in a show that's completely dedicated to ticketing towards the end of the month. Sean will be on that show with us again. Sean, you did agree to come on, didn't you?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I'll have a look at my diary and see if I'm okay.
And actually, I must look and see what date. I think it's sometime around the 27th or 28th, I think, what I just see now. Around the 30th of October, so the day before Halloween. Probably sometime around that date, we'll be doing that show.
Yeah.
So that's it. So I don't know, have you anything else to add, Sean?
Well, no, I just wanted to congratulate you guys on a fantastic group and podcast, and just with the Alfie O'Leary charity that you've got going there. I think is fantastic, and I just hope that everybody gets and supports that. It's a very, very. I don't know. I haven't checked how much you've reached so far, but
we have at the moment we have 590 euros.
Okay.
I'm just going to double check it now. But one thing I did want to say is we had an update because because Alfie was receiving treatment, we kind of kept it low key for the time being because he had started treatment last week.
Right.
We have heard since from Alfie's family that he is actually reacting well to the treatment. So it's looking like that we've been given, we've been pretty much given the go ahead to go and organise it. So all going well. At this point in time, we have 690 euros raised from our 1,500 euros goal. So we will be putting more weight behind that campaign now, because I said we didn't want to stand on anybody's toes or upset anybody by going ahead with this. So, and people still have been donating. Like just in the last couple of days, we had 150 euros of donation. Sean, I know you were very generous. You gave 2 separate donations, a 50 and a 100. And I know this campaign is extremely close to your heart. So we really do appreciate that.
Well, just to let you know, John, just to butt in there for a second, on our website fenwaywecomeattopay.com, on the left hand side you'll see a little GoFundMe thing where you can put in your donation. So those who want to donate can certainly do it through fenwaywecomeattopay.com website, or go on to Talk LFC as well.
Yeah, there is a widget on your website, exactly, yeah. Now, our website is still under construction at the moment. Hopefully, it'll be up and running by the end of this week. So, but as Sean said, it's on our GoFundMe page is at the top of our Facebook page. You can click on the link there and you can donate. Please, look, if you're not in a position to donate something, please just share it. Maybe some of your friends might be in a position to donate. No amount is too small, please. Whatever you can give, give something, even if it's only €2, £2 or whatever. Every little helps. It's something that when we're hoping that maybe we can get moving on a game in the new year. Maybe Alfie and Kenneth maybe would go along with him or some member of his family to get him to a game in Anfield and get him to enjoy the complete experience, the complete Anfield experience. And that is our aim. So please contribute where you can. Thanks a million, Sean, for coming on. I appreciate the company this evening. It's nice to have somebody to bounce chat off, and I want to thank everybody for listening, Andy and Martin in the chat. I also want to thank Gary Gaze for coming on from the Shun the S campaign. And I want to thank everybody who's going to listen to the show during the week as well, obviously. Please like and share our podcast. Sign into Spreaker with your Facebook page or your Twitter ID. It's free, and then you can comment in the chat. But make sure you follow us. If you follow us, you get notifications of when we go live, so you don't have to watch our Facebook page all the time or miss a show. You get notifications the second we go live. Also, you can follow us on facebook.com/Talk LFC podcast, twitter.com/Talk LFC podcast. And you can also, we're on YouTube as well also. Now you can send us an email to talklfcpodcast@gmail.com if you want any questions or comments to be read out on the show. Or if you have anything that you want us to discuss, also you can send it to that email address. So that's pretty much it from myself and Sean for this evening. So looking forward to next Monday night when we take on the other crowd. More spitting. But so that's pretty much it, and we'll talk to you probably Sunday night at 7:30. Thanks a million for listening in.
Thank you for listening to Talk LFC Podcast. Be sure to follow us at facebook.com/Talk LFC Podcast and on Twitter at twitter.com/Talk LFC Podcast. Get in touch with us by email at talklfcpodcast@gmail.com or via our website at www.talklfcpodcast.com.